Sound off with me, folks, on the Boston Celtics taking a 2-0 series lead over the Orlando Magic in the NBA playoffs, despite the fact that they were missing Jayson Tatum for the first time ever in a playoff game since he came into the NBA in 2017. That is what happened Wednesday night. And now the Celtics are feeling pretty good about themselves heading down to Orlando. Welcome into the Sound Off Postgame Podcast. I appreciate you giving us a watch or a listen. Please make sure to subscribe on whatever channel you are on. And make sure to tune in and give us a listen or a watch after every single Celtics game the rest of the season. This happens after every game. So throw me your comments after the final buzzer. Click subscribe. Come back and join us. We want you to be a part of the show, and we want to talk about everything that happens for the Boston Celtics as the rest of the postseason unfolds. Now, listen, we've got a lot to cover in this podcast, and I want to give you an idea, first off and foremost, about what we're going to be talking about from our fans tonight who submitted comments on X. We've got a few comments, one of which is on the Jrue Holiday dunk game. Can't wait to touch on that later. The determination of the Celtics and how they are playing right now. And then last but not least, we've got a comment on players across the board stepping up tonight while Jayson Tatum was out. But first, let's go through a little recap of this game. What I saw, what I felt while I was in the arena. Let's dive into it right now. As we've touched on, Jayson Tatum did miss the first postseason game of his NBA career. It's really incredible when you think about it. I was sitting next to Taylor Snow of Celtics.com. We were talking about it right when the game started. I was like, this is the first game he's ever missed in the NBA playoffs, isn't it? And he was like, no, I think he missed. No, wait, this is the first game that he's ever missed. Think about that. Think how many games the Boston Celtics have played in the postseason in Jayson Tatum's career, and this is the first time ever that he's missed a game. Says a lot about his durability and his ability to bring the goods every night. Tonight, he missed the game. He's got a sore wrist. Sounds like he's going to be back sometime soon, possibly for Game 3. The Celtics didn't rule him out until shortly before tip-off tonight. He was listed as doubtful when we woke up on Wednesday, but let's hope that he is back for Friday's Game 3 down in Orlando. Now, the Celtics, without him, got off to a slow start, offensively. At least. They were struggling. I think they shot about 26% from the field during the first quarter. Not very good, but they kept with it, and they figured it out. And by the way, the crowd was behind them. If you were at this game, if your friends or family were at this game, I have to applaud them. This was an unbelievable atmosphere at TD Garden. For Game 2 of the first round against a team that was the number 7 seed in the Eastern Conference, that was in the play-in tournament, the fans brought the goods from start to finish in this game. They were on their feet. They were loud. They were cheering their guys on. Chants all night long. We had D. White chants. We had KP chants. MVP chants for Jaylen Brown. We had it all. This crowd was like Eastern Conference Finals, NBA Finals level. Loud in intensity, and they were locked in from start to finish. And I guarantee you, if you went in the locker room and asked the players, and they might be being asked that right now as I record this, about the crowd tonight, I guarantee you they would tell you that the crowd certainly helped them in some of those key moments and key runs in this game too. So thank you to all the fans out there for bringing the goods tonight. If you were watching from home, I'm sure you felt the energy. This was an unbelievable atmosphere. And if we're getting this on Game 2 in the first round, good God, I don't even know what to expect if and when the Celtics move on to the next series and hopefully beyond that. So great job by the crowd tonight. We did see a little bit of chippiness in this game a couple different times. On Tuesday at practice, Al Horford spoke to the media, and he talked about the fact that he did not like some of the fouls that were committed by Kentavious Caldwell-Pope of the Orlando Magic during Game 1. One of those fouls is what led to Jayson Tatum staying down on the ground for a couple minutes and then eventually missing Game 2 tonight due to that sore wrist. Horford and KCP actually got tangled up a little bit in transition. Horford, it seemed like he took exception a little bit, thought that KCP might have done it on purpose. The play was reviewed, and the referees determined that there was nothing foul about it. There was nothing on purpose, no intent. There was no wind-up, anything like that. I think their feet just got tangled up as they were transitioning back in the other way or other direction on the court. I understand, though, that Al Horford has a little bit of extra context about what happened from his perspective during the first game. So he felt some type of way. He popped up and he looked over it. I thought that they were going to go at it, not necessarily fight, but I thought Al Horford was going to go over and have some serious words from him. Wound up walking away, going down and kind of cheering the crowd on and getting them loud. But that wasn't the only time that this game got a little bit physical. Later in the game, Kristaps Porzingis, for the second time in 3 weeks, exits the court at TD Garden with blood dripping down his face. I don't know how this keeps happening to Kristaps Porzingis. Back on April 4th, excuse me, he took a shot to the nose. He was bleeding, walked off the court to go get stitches. He was like putting his arms up to the crowd, smiling, laughing as he walked off the court as they cheered him on, as blood was dripping down his face. I was like, that seems like a once-in-a-lifetime situation where a guy is leaving the court smiling while he's dripping blood down his face. Well, sure enough, fast forward, less than 3 weeks later, it happened again. Tonight, he took a shot like right above the left eye, and he was bleeding profusely. And he had to leave the court, eventually did come back quickly so that he could come back on the court and take his free throw. But he did leave again. He received 5 stitches to that area just above his eye on his forehead. Wound up being able to continue the rest of the night and then laughed it off in his post-game walk-off interview with Abby Chin. A great post-game interview with Abby Chin. Props to her for getting some great questions out there. I think if you haven't seen it, go check out the NBC Sports Boston channels. You're going to enjoy that walk-off. But, yeah, he takes another shot to the forehead. He's dripping blood. He comes back on the court. He's got, like, blood stain on the back of his head. I don't know if they caught it on the broadcast, but it was up on the Jumbotron, and they're trying to, like, scrub the blood off of his hair on the back of his head. I just couldn't believe it was happening again. But it did happen. And that was the second moment in the game where it kind of felt like things were getting a little bit chippy. And, sometimes people say a playoff series doesn't start until the road team wins. I think this series has started. I think this one is well underway. And I think the Boston Celtics aren't necessarily loving the physicality and the way that the Orlando Magic are playing. And I think the Celtics want to do something about it. And they have done something about it in the first 2 games. And that's taking a 2-0 series lead. So they got a chance to take a commanding lead as they go down to Orlando in just a couple of days. So that was interesting to see that chippiness and see a couple of guys get a little bit tangled up. Porzingis, second time in a few weeks, exits with blood dripping down his face. But as he did the first time, the man came back. Just like any Warrior would, he comes back and he helps to deliver a win for the Boston Celtics. Now, during the fourth quarter, this game got closer than many people may have anticipated. The Celtics had pulled ahead by double digits during the third quarter, felt really good about themselves. Jaylen Brown went on a nice little run during that third quarter, was red hot from the field en route to a big game for him. We'll touch on that later. But in the fourth quarter, the Celtics needed to withstand the Orlando Magic making a little bit of a run. I think they got back into within about 6 or 7 points, and every single time the Celtics made the play. It just felt like if it wasn't Jaylen Brown driving to the basket and scoring at the rim, it was Derek White canning a three-pointer. And if it wasn't Derek White canning a three-pointer, it was Peyton Pritchard somehow finding a way to score in the paint amongst the trees against all odds. So it's just like, and if it wasn't Peyton Pritchard doing that, it was someone else doing something. And that was the story of the night for the Boston Celtics, and we're going to talk about that later, of everyone stepping up, doing their job, and getting the job done, despite the fact that they were missing a top 5 player in the world in Jayson Tatum. So great to see everyone making plays. Great to see them throwing punch after punch and landing those punches during the most critical juncture of the game. And that is how the Celtics wound up pulling off this 109-100 win. I touched on Jaylen Brown. That man was unconscious in the second half. He scored 22 points during the second half alone, shot 8 for 12 from the field during the second half and finishes with one of his most impressive all-around performances of his very lengthy and very, talked up. We've got multiple MVPs on his resume. This was one of his best all-around performances in his postseason career. 36-point double, scores 36 points on a very impressive 12 of 19 from the field. I'll do the math for you there. I got the box score in front of me. That's better than 63% from the field. Shot 5 of 7 from distance. That's better than 71% from three-point range. And also canned 7 of his 8 free throws. So that's 88%. The man was red hot from all over the field, got it done on all 3 levels, and then adds in 10 rebounds, and then adds in 5 assists, and also grabs a steal. So as I said, just unequivocally, one of Jaylen Brown's most impressive all-around performances of his very, very impressive playoff career thus far that I will remind you once more, he has an Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and he's got an NBA Finals MVP, and this game is up there as one of his best that he's put forth during the postseason. So great during his postseason career. So great to see him looking like himself. I think that first game one for both him and Jayson Tatum was just a little bit of rhythm. They were out of rhythm after having a bunch of time off. Well, Jaylen Brown's back in rhythm already. We saw it tonight. Let's hope that Jayson Tatum gets back in rhythm when he hopefully returns to the court on Friday night for Game 3. All right, let's dive into some comments from our fans. First up, we've got Jackson Boland on the Jrue Holiday dunk game. I couldn't believe what I was seeing when I saw this play. Can't wait to talk about it. Next up, we've got Christopher Cody on the determination that he is seeing from this Celtics team. And then last but not least, we've got Nicholas on multiple players across the lineup and across the roster stepping up in Game 2 tonight to take a 2-0 series lead. So let's dive into the first one. Jackson Boland, you are up. All right, as I said, Jackson, you are up first, and here is Jackson's comment. Simply couldn't lose the Jrue Holiday dunk game, Mark. I agree. As I said, I could not believe what I was seeing. This happened midway through the second quarter, literally 6 minutes left on the clock. Jaylen Brown is posting up in the paint. He draws a double team, kind of looks in a few different directions, doesn't know where to go with the ball, winds up kicking it out to Jrue Holiday on the left wing. Jrue catches it, and as he always does, he was a step ahead of the defense. Read exactly what the Magic were doing. He caught it, he drove and took it off the dribble. Boom, boom, 2 dribbles, rises up and slams one home, and that got this crowd, which I already talked about was jacked up all night. That play got them even more jacked up because we don't see many dunks from Jrue Holiday at this point in his career. I don't even know what his total dunks were this season. Had to be less than 10, I would think. I could be wrong. Look it up after this podcast, but I think it would be less than 10 on the season. And this wasn't just a dunk. This was like an emphatic dunk. Like he was hanging on the rim, swinging around like he was feeling it, kind of beating his chest up there as he was hanging on the rim, as he should. Because this was a big play in the game, wound up giving the Celtics a 6-point lead at that point, but it just was part of the game-long momentum and that game-long wave that the Celtics were building. That play was a big one that got them feeling good about themselves as they headed toward the halftime break. So Jrue Holiday, another really strong performance from him across the board. A team-high 6 assists to go along with 11 points, 4 rebounds. A block shot. This guy always logs a stock. If it's not one, it's the other, or maybe even both. But he's been shooting the ball efficiently. He's reading the defense, and he just looks fresh. And that's not something that we could say all season about Jrue Holiday. For a guy coming off of winning an NBA championship and then going straight into the Olympics and then going straight into the NBA season, like he didn't look like this all year. He looks excellent right now, and that is a great omen for the Boston Celtics to have their Swiss Army knife looking like himself, looking healthy, and feeling bouncy enough to not only take it off the dribble, but to rise up off of 2 dribbles and throw down a monster dunk that got TD Garden cheering all over the place. Let's hope we see more of this out of Jrue Holiday. Hey, don't forget about Jrue Holiday. Okay, all the attention, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, maybe even some Kristaps Porzingis or Peyton Pritchard talk. Don't forget about Jrue Holiday. He's one of the best two-way players in the NBA. Don't just look at the stats. Understand what he brings to the table every single night. All right, next comment coming in from Christopher Cody, who says, nice win. They look determined this year not to let the teams hang around. And that has been the case through the first couple of games. The Celtics have built leads. They've mostly maintained those leads or even added to them as the game has gone on. I talked about it already. The Magic were trying to make a run during that fourth quarter, but the Celtics withstood it. They fended it off, and they made big play after big play when they needed to make those plays. I would venture to say, at this point, we've gone through a couple games of this series, and I think just doing some quick math, I knew they only trailed by, I think for about 2 minutes, a little less than 2 minutes in all of Game 1. Game 2 was pretty darn similar. The Celtics were playing from ahead for almost the entirety of this game. So that's 2 straight games that they have done that, almost a wire-to-wire victory, and they have built on the leads as the games have gone on. And that is a great sign to see from the Boston Celtics. To Christopher's point here, they look determined. And that's not to say that they didn't look determined last year. They played really good basketball last year in the postseason to be able to go on and win the NBA championship. That's the only way you're going to win, is if you play great. However, so far, through 2 games, and again, this is a small sample size. We're barely into the postseason. We got to see what winds up happening. But so far, they do look determined to not let teams make those runs, to not let teams get back into the games, and to make sure that they are controlling the contest basically from halftime on. And they have done that for sure for the entire second half of these first 2 games. So, Christopher, great analysis. That was a really great thing to pull out of this game and Game 1, so we appreciate you sending that in. Please keep in touch. Make sure you send in more as the postseason goes on. All right, folks, last comment of the night. This one is coming in from Nicholas, who says, all the guys stepped up. Love to see it. And yes, we have to talk about that because this was a performance across the board for the Boston Celtics. Everyone contributed to this win. And I don't care if you look down the lineup, and only 8 guys played in this game. Usually it's a 9-man rotation, but you lose Jayson Tatum, and Joe Mazzulla wound up just rolling with 8. Those are the 8 that he wants to play right now when Jayson Tatum is out, and he rolled with them tonight. Now, again, I don't care if you look at the stats and you don't see big numbers. Luke Cornett, only 2 points, 2 rebounds, and a steal. Sam Hauser, 0 points, only took 2 shots in this game, 1 rebound, 1 block. Those guys didn't provide a ton statistically, but they did provide a lot in terms of being able to provide quality minutes and letting the Celtics and helping the Celtics to keep a rhythm at both ends of the court while they were out there. It's not all about numbers. If the other guys are getting numbers, you got to let them do their thing. Don't force it. Don't try to make an impact on the game. Just let that happen. And Cornett and Sam Hauser allowed that to happen tonight. So that was great to see out of them. But then the other players on the team, the other 6 guys, or 7 guys, it was 6 guys. The other 6 guys who played in this game, 5 of them scored in double figures with at least 11 points. Al Horford was the only one out of those top 6 who did not hit double figures, but he finished with 9 points. You got 3 guys with 10 rebounds. 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 different guys who grabbed at least 10 rebounds. All of them actually grabbed exactly 10 rebounds. Then you've got 3 players who dished out at least 5 assists. You've got multiple players with steals and blocks. Kristaps Porzingis with 2 steals and 2 blocks. And the big numbers come from Jaylen Brown. 36 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, as we already talked about. Kristaps Porzingis with the other big game tonight for the Boston Celtics, 20 points and 10 rebounds, a couple blocks and a couple steals. So you got a 36-point double-double from Jaylen. You got a 20-point double-double from Kristaps Porzingis, and those guys were providing defense and just fitting in with the team. This was a great team win. You needed everyone across the board to provide a boost. to play within themselves and to trust their teammates. That's exactly what happened out of these 8 guys who played in this game, as they did not have the superstar, one of the top 5 players in the world in Jayson Tatum, to be able to come out on the court for this game. So great to see. Great comment here from Nicholas. I love the observation. All the guys stepped up. You love to see it. You absolutely do. And we can only expect this to continue as the rest of the postseason goes on, because this is what the Celtics have proven time and time again this season. When push comes to shove and they need someone to step up, which they had to all season long because there were injuries all regular season. Anytime someone needs to step up, they do it. And it doesn't just have to be numbers. It has to be what you are providing to help the team win. Everyone did that tonight, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that as this postseason continues on. And it does continue on Friday night. We've got Game 3 coming up down in Orlando. Tip-off is at 7 o'clock. If you're local, make sure you catch the game on NBC Sports Boston. Let's hope the Celtics can take a commanding 3-0 series lead. After that game ends, respond to my post on X, send me all of your comments, and then make sure you tune in on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform to give us a watch or a listen. Thank you for joining me tonight for the Sound Off Postgame Podcast, and I can't wait to see you Friday night.